Korea brings the fight back here on European soil as we continue things in the lower bracket final. 1-1 currently between Team Dignitas and L5. I'm joined by Trixler, Kaldor, and Fan continuing on here in this best of 5. And one thing is very clear after we did see that game, the Koreans are not down and out just yet. They are showing some life here.
Yeah, as mentioned, they've come online here, and now it's all about can they keep up momentum in the rest of the series, and can Dignitas take a moment to stifle that? Can they slow them down? Do they go back to their pick compositions, or do they find themselves in a scenario where they break that front line? I feel like L5 right now, when they have a solid double warrior set up, they're looking pretty dominant in their mix-ups.
I would say at this point it's also the pressure still more so on the Koreans than the European team.
Yeah.
But L5 definitely made a stand on Tomb and said, okay, we're not going to fall here. Because I don't believe that they would have been able to break through this if Dignitas takes the second map. So I'm really happy that we have that third game on even ground now. But I'm still curious to see what the draft is going to show us. Yeah,
I wonder where we're going to be going, Fan, because that can change everything. We've already done Infernal. That's one of Europe's big go-tos. Where do you see us going now? Do you have any kind of predictions or as to where people would find strength?
I mean, in a 5-game series, you're probably going to go to almost every other standard map here. But the interesting thing for me is, so far, Dig has won on L5's map pick with the Infernal Shrines, and L5 has won on Dig's map pick here. So showing that even if they pick the map, they might not be able to take the win on it.
Okay, Towers of Doom will be our next destination as L5 goes for the pick. So that means first ban and first pick for Team Dignitas going into this. And at the moment, it seems like that's played a bit of a part. We've seen that ban go straight to Valor from Dignitas' side each time, but then being able to take first pick, we've seen it be Uther on both sides, and he seems very impactful right now.
There's also another hero that we have seen banned out, but that gains a bit more momentum on this map, and that is Abathur.
Yes.
So I would like to see what happens around that. I expect that we are seeing a bit more of a higher priority on him here than we did on the previous Battlegrounds.
And I enjoy this Battleground for these two teams in particular because it naturally introduces chaos, especially when you get to that mid to the late game based on how the Battleground is. And so I want to see how Dignitas intends to go with that chaos and handle it in the late game versus L5, who looked insane on this Battleground yesterday against MVP Black.
All right, game number 3 here of the lower bracket final. One of these teams is advancing onto the grand final to face off against Fnatic.
Bye, Abathur.
There we go.
There we go. L5 versus Team Dignitas.
But I still like this quite a lot. You have Vala banned out by Dignitas. They have first pick, first ban, so they just stick to what they believe is L5's strongest version. They're saying no double support Vala for you. But as we said before, the Abathur, he rises in priority on this map, so L5 reacts immediately, which allows Dignitas to go for the Uther, talking the flexibility again. But I really like what L5 does with their pick phase, and Nubarak and Genji is a fantastic start for them into the draft.
Gotta agree with you. I love Genji being brought in here. The mobility that you have with that hero on this Battleground in particular is wonderful during multiple alter phases. A little bit better than the Greyman in terms of movement.
It's also the first time we see Genji actually played.
Yes, exactly. They've picked up the Genji over the Greyman like we saw the first time that they have floating around here. So we'll go ahead and see that Genji in the rotation. How can Dignitas hold it? Luckily, they already have one tool set up for it. That Uther has been great so far.
Fan?
I mean, I'm looking at their next picks here. If they pick standard, probably just Stitches Li Ming again. JPL really insistent on the Stitches third pick, and Stitches has won every map so far. Li Ming, very comfy. Ooh, they're going away from it this time, so that's what took them so long with the pick rotation. Wonder what they have in mind here.
Well, with the bans for L5 now, do you actually think that they would still go into the Stitches that L5 doesn't ban it out and pick in the later rotation?
I mean, for JPL, I think so, yeah. So he must have known that if he didn't pick it in the 2-3, there's a chance L5 bans it out at least. So wondering what plan B is for him.
Dig typically puts a lot of value for Greyman on this Battleground. He's great at the Murking, which is very important. It's a very EU strat to control that bottom lane as much as you can, and Dahaka enables that and Leoric as well. So they had to grab the Dahaka or the Leoric at some point, and Dignitas went ahead and grabbed it in the first rotation here. Stitches goes away, but I'm not sure if they would have actually gone into it if it was available. Dignitas is going to go ahead and bid out the Illidan as well here on the left, so L5 now setting up their own foundation.
That's a very European outlook on it, right? It's if you have Dahaka or Abathur on this map and your opponent doesn't have that global, the opponent is automatically at a disadvantage because of how Europe seems to play this map.
Yeah, very true here. That bottom lane, very important for Europe, controlling those bell towers, mercenaries.
We've seen actually a few games where the Haka got insane value with the side soak, but at the same time, we've also seen a couple of maps where the global just didn't come that much into play because the foreman got so much value.
Yeah, a couple of things going on here for sure. L5 still lacking the global, but Dignitas, they're lacking a Cocoon counter now. Not taking the Li Ming in the gray main slot does mean that L5 gets to take it away from them. I wouldn't feel too happy if they end up going for like a Tychus just to counter the Cocoon. The composition feels a little bit more awkward to me that way, but we'll have to see what they do.
I'm a bit on the same page. I'm still waiting to see what exactly Mene is going to pick with this setup right now. As we said, he can jump on the gray main if they really want, but now they have that Tychus that you just mentioned. And they round it out with Tyrael being played now.
Okay, so Tyrael, another hero that JPL used to play a lot. Not so much at this tournament, but he definitely has played it quite a bit in the past.
I'm surprised Tyrael hasn't had any impact on the previous 2 games. I mean, how the drafts were going, you know, it's not too much of a surprise, but just coming in initially to this series, this is our first Tyrael.
And not the trends with Tyrael, though. They usually come in, come out until someone plays him, and then for the rest of the series, suddenly he's banned or picked.
I think it's also a map issue. We didn't see Cursed yet, so I would expect that on Cursed, Tyrael is going to make a much earlier appearance in the draft. We have seen him quite a bit on tower, so I don't mind that pick too much, but right now I'm still liking L5. I'm still curious, though, what the last pick for them is going to be.
Yeah, so far it's double reset on L5's side against double invulnerability on the side of Team Dignitas. Dignitas, I think they have a good composition overall. It's just not as Dignitas-y as I initially thought they would go for.
Chen. Well, does have a good record in this tournament so far.
Yeah.
And looking at the other side, there's a few things to disrupt it.
The Haka here, there's also the Uther as well, so a few disruptions, ones that need to be important because if they're used right when a Storm Earth and Fire comes out, yes, it can be effective, but Chen could still get through it if they don't hit that timing perfectly. So I don't mind the Chen pick overall, it just comes down to how it's utilized.
Tychus Grenade, things like that.
True.
What do you think about going Kek if there's no cleanse pick because of Guardian?
I mean, it could work, but that's going to be very execution heavy. Sanct kind of counters it as well, so I think more likely it'll be Storm Earth Fire, but...
I think so too. I mean, Storm Earth Fire has been the talent so far, but just think outside the box a little bit.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, if you cocoon someone, keg someone else into your team, it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
With the Chen last pick, I'm not sure if they have the execution to do that, but could definitely work if they do.
I just think it would be funny. I don't expect it to come out. I think it would be funny because we've been talking so much about Guardian on the Ancient Kings versus the Cleanse. And if you know all of a sudden end up in that scenario where someone says, yes, we don't need the Cleanse here, and then you have all of a sudden the Keg and he gets value, that would put a really interesting twist on things.
The amount of times I've been playing and the Cleanse gets annoying when you're wandering Keg someone and somebody goes through, I'm like, they just walked through my barrel. That's the saddest feeling ever. But anyway, we're going to go on to predictions, starting with you, Trixler.
Man, I think this is one that I believe in the power of Genji and Chen diving into a backline, being very disruptive, and I know that already looking at Dignitas, they have a solid backline to defend that, but I'm feeling it here for L5. I think they're online. I think they're going to walk away with this victory here. The Chen pick really steals it for me.
So I believe that both of the comms are pretty strong. I think still the teams are evenly matched. That being said, I had a great Saturday in predictions. I ended up 7-0. Today I'm 0-2. Trixler is 2-0. So either whatever I predict loses or whatever he predict wins. So I wanted to find out what that is. I'm going with L5.
You're like the negatives of one another.
Yeah.
If you transplanted his hair and popped it on there, it would make a whole face. But anyway, continue on. Fan your prediction. Fan your prediction.
Dignitas. I'm going with Dignitas for this one. Still believe in them. We'll have to see if they can pull it off, though.
Little Ginger with the lines.
That's right, Little Ginger. All right, let's get into it. It's going to be game number 3. Dignitas goes up against L5 here. We're going to head over to the commentary team as they bring you all the action from Towers of Doom.
Last game was L5's first victory against Dignitas in 5 games throughout this tournament, so it was an important one, and now they're bringing pandemonium to Towers of Doom.
Stitches has looked so good and been such a big deal in this series, but we find ourselves Stitchesless here in game 3. So who is going to be the better team? We find out here on Towers of Doom, but first, Bakery here in the blue will be on Uther. Snitch will be on Greymane. Salia on Dahaka. Mene on Tychus. And JPL on Tyrael. Let's hear it for Dignitas.
And their opponents in the red with Noblesse playing a new Barak, SCSC playing Genji, Soy on Rhaegar, Nacho Jin playing Li Ming, and Jungha playing Chen. This is L5.
You know, I've gotten to talk a lot to Team Dignitas behind the scenes, and I asked a lot about, on Towers of Doom specifically, you know, what is the value of the global? How do they feel about it? And they genuinely view it as, yeah, it's nice to be able to pick it up, but they don't feel like it gives a major team an advantage in any way. They just feel like it's not as crucial as we see in some of the other parts of the world. So it would be interesting to see how much value, how much focus they use it as a global pressure, or if it's more just Dahaka's a pretty good hero.
He's a really good hero for Team Dignitas too. Xaylia, one of his favorites. And Team Dignitas, I would say that their approach to Towers of Doom, whatever it is quite sound. They are extremely strong on this particular battleground, which is why I was surprised to see L5 pick it versus them.
Yeah, which I think that kind of shows the confidence here coming out from L5 after that last win. It's just that they say, you know, we're willing to take you to a map that is considered yours. The gank here up onto top, maybe a bit too far out. JPL should have his Q in a second, but Xaylia, the burrow, not gonna be in time. First blood for L5.
That was just about as close as it gets, but L5 do claim that first blood, bringing up a lot of resources to get it. So it was important that they did get the kill there.
The rotations here between the two teams. Dignitas, you can see their mentality is looking to try and be aggressive, but they just don't have the lockdown necessary to be able to get those picks, especially onto a target like Chen. So if Dignitas is going to keep up this laning strategy, I would like to see them put priority onto somebody like Li Ming. You know, she has a teleport, but at least her health bar is like a fourth that of Chen.
Yeah, and especially with elusive brawler too. A lot of times when you have block, it's based on stacks. So when you've got someone up against who has just a really fast auto attack speed, then it's not as good. But elusive brawler is just duration. And look at this invade from L5 as we get ready for the first phase of this battleground. Another kill on Greymane.
And Noblesse falls very low, but he actually stays alive. You see Mene with that flank. He's out of position purely off of Chen. Jungha had such a good job zoning Mene, making sure he didn't have a proper rotation. And now SCSC, he's got a shuriken, he's got a kill. Cyber agility out 4. Now 8 shots. We'll move on to Dig's core. Can SCSC delay even this one? Oh, man.
He's gonna try. This is short respawn timers, but still 6 more seconds. SCSC goes to the dive, jumps back. Jungha there too, starting to push people away. Bakery comes in with a Holy Radiance, and that will stop Soy once again. But everyone has been zoned. I cannot believe it. L5, it is so hard to get all 3 altars in a triple altar phase, and somehow they do it.
Triple altars are almost unheard of at any level of professional Heroes of the Storm. It just flat out doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And this far into a world championship.
Right.
But L5, after that last game, the momentum that they have been able to gain, the confidence they show here in Game 2, Dignitas fans, you might be scared for your team here moving forward. My goodness, it's day and night.
Well, yeah, they had not been able to beat Dignitas in a game, and they several times had been close, but now Team Dignitas finding their stride, catch Soy, and take him out.
That's a nice pick there for them, and a moment to hold L5 back for at least 10 seconds as they have to wait here for Soy and rotations. The Sappers are up on bottom. We saw them cycled almost like clockwork over that first altar phase, and L5 is not going to waste any time. They're going to start it up.
They are, but Dignitas has caught SCSC trying to make the rotation in to help. Now Dignitas considering an invade, but not seeing anybody from L5 even start the Sapper camp. Look elsewhere.
Gilly. It's Donkey Kong build.
I know.
We've got Donkey Kong Chen.
I know. Before it was always the flying kick build, but this time, building up for the slows, the inevitable, just constant slowing of that build.
It's insane, the slow and strategy that this type of Chen play can bring. It's kind of, I would say, maybe like playing with a Arthas on your team. It's just not necessarily that you want to fight right out the gates of 1 shot, 1 kill. You want to buy a little bit of time, make the rotation and the retreat, above all else, so difficult for Dig.
Yeah, and you know why I love that? Because they have a double reset team behind it. Trying to run away from the chase of a Genji and Li Ming behind that too. Nacho Jin, one of his best heroes, if not his best, his most comfortable. this is a really cool adaptation to see from Jungha on his Chen.
Talia goes in and gets the damage onto Jungha, but the cleanse is forced from Swoy, so that is going to be a cooldown that is not available for L5 in the skirmish, but the health bars are way higher than that of Team Dignitas. Zalia, you see him posturing around. Swoy's got the channel interrupt coming out from quarterback there on Mene.
All of Dignitas have been hurdled into a corner. Eldruin's Might does not stop Swoy. Another altar picked up by L5, still sitting at a perfect 40 on their core health.
But Dignitas has been able to balance the scales a smidge, at least for the experience. We always talk about there's two variables to be looking at on Towers of Doom. It's not only just the core HP, but the experience. If you're down in core HP, it's totally okay if you're ahead. But if you're dead even here for Dig, it's obviously a disadvantage, but you can at least expect that we'll have a balanced fight at the later parts of this game.
Yeah, it does put a little bit of pressure on Team Dignitas because they know that there's going to come a point in time later on in the game when they have to not only just win one fight, but they have to either force some staggered deaths or win fight after fight so they can catch up in core health. But because it's Towers of Doom, there is always the possibility to make that comeback.
When we were talking about the chase potential, the double reset in Dignitas' retreat, it does get a lot better post-16. Holy Ground is a nice tool to be using on not only offensively but defensively on those retreats, making Chen not only, he might have to overextend a little bit on those, so he can't just throw barrel on top of barrel. He's going to have to force a kick, and that pressure from JPL in those later parts of the game is going to be very important. He is on point there with the Eldruins.
And there's enhanced agility from Dahaka to give some movement speed. There's dash once again for Tychus. He's been working on that. So there are tools to try to help give movement speed, besides just the fact that they have Tyrael in general, who can give movement speed to all of the team.
28 seconds, and we are going to have ourselves two more altars. Dignitas unable to get a single shot yet onto the core of L5. The heroics are online, so maybe that will change the team fights, but the invade here out of Dig a bit too late.
The positioning from Dig is good for the altars, but it's still 10 seconds left and Chen is coming down. Zalia can sit in top for a while as Dahaka try to take out some structures potentially, or just put some fear into L5 that he can brush talk in at any second. Double altar spawn. Chen channeling one, Snitch channeling another. It stopped.
Good interrupt there. Zhonghua will not get it, but Dignitas has put focus onto bottom while L5 is transitioning towards top. Bakery got another interrupt. Nobody has been able to get these altars as they're skirmishing all over. SCSC on the backside, though, gets the dash out. 4 shots for L5 go onto the core.
There are a lot of pandas hanging out in the back line. Mene's in trouble. JPL gets hit by the Impale, trying to run away, but the Dragon Blade is out. Hammer of Justice from Bakery tries to save his team.
Everybody falling so low for Dignitas, but no kill gained for the double reset composition. Yet L5, with the aggression they had, the zoning after that fight, they don't need the kill. They just needed Dignitas away from those altars, and now Dig finds himself with 16 HP.
I'm out of words. This is just flawless play from L5. 40-16. This is becoming harder and harder for Dignitas to make the miracle comeback. We've said that it's possible, and it is on Towers of Doom, but L5 is looking for not only another win, but a perfect one at that, a demoralizing one.
Yesterday, when we watched L5 play against Isar, I talked on the analysis desk about how L5 needed to find their, the killer instinct of the squad. When's the switch flip for them, that they become the team that we have known them to be, the world champions. And this feels like now one game down against Team Dignitas that it feels like they have it. I mean, this has been an absolute showing for them on Towers of Doom. This, again, is Dignitas, one of their best maps.
Exactly right, and often a battleground where they don't get behind. But in this case, L5 showing their prowess on this battleground too. Here comes the stock from Zaelia, looking for a drag, catches, cleanse.
Beautiful pre-cleanse from Swoy. The cocoon is going to reveal. Nade goes down. Snitch is fine for the time being. Just a posturing, just poking around, trying to ensure that both teams get the ideal initiation. JPL got the follow-up. Dig wants this. They get the drag onto Chen, not the target they want. Can they force this fight?
There comes the slows from the kegs. Jungha drinking to take some damage, get that shielding out too. Dignitas steps back. Another altar about to spawn.
Dignitas can't give up this altar. I mean, they can, but it just feels like at some point they have to make the breakaway. I would normally say wait till 16. I can see that being the moment. The spike, the Holy Ground plays, a lot of things come online for Team Dignitas' composition. But when you've gotten wrecked so hard for the first 9 minutes of this game. I don't think the 16 window is a realistic one left here for Dignitas. Soy, the channel, the interrupts, it gets it, no, but the drag!
Drag just in time from Zealia. We have the cocoon coming out on him. Sanctification's been used in the back. SCSC ripping through the members of Dignitas. Tychus is already down.
Soy with the ancestral reset 1, a reset 2. Snitch and Dignitas is absolutely getting obliterated. Snitch with the disengage. Chen goes in, Zheng Ha going, what's up, boys? This is why Chen is a meta pick here at the MSB.
Drag after deflect, but everyone is coming to the aid of SCSC, and now JPL chasing down Noblesse comes in. JPL just hoping he can trade on all the kills. SCSC does go down. Finally, Dignitas get a kill, but they will lose everybody to get it.
What do we see L5 do with this advantage? They aren't going to risk transition elsewhere onto the map, convert another bell tower. Instead, they take what they know they can get. First, 5 shots, 11 core left for Dig, and now Sappers with the bell tower on bottom in their favor, forcing aggro out of Dig. So question is, does L5 get another bell tower, for instance, through top, or do they try and force a boss play? Because escorting this into Team Dignitas is rather unrealistic.
Yeah, exactly. There are shortened respawn timers still because it's only 11 minutes into the game. But Dignitas have eyes on this boss, and L5 are going to go for this. There's no holy ground available yet.
Tychus is way too late to this. This is going to have to be a miracle play. Divine Shield's up in 5 seconds. No Sanctification left for 10.
A cocoon.
The cocoon buys time. L5 backs out. The boss is not de-aggroed. Zealia moves in. They want this fight. Dignitas, this is where they can turn this fight. But if they miss it up, this could be the beginning of the end.
Risky play made by Dignitas, but L5 are fine with it. They will give up the shots. It wasn't ideal. They had already used cocoon. Now they're losing Chen.
That was a beautiful play from Team Dignitas. The cocoon, usage there for L5. They needed to force something if they were going to try and take that. And the minute Dignitas realizes they have one of the best anti-boss stealing tools available gone, and to keep in mind, L5 may not have known the exact second Sanctification was available, and it was so close that it could have been the tool that made them afraid to take the boss. But now the initiation on bottom Dig, they want to convert this bell tower.
I think that shows great play from L5, knowing how far they are ahead. They don't need to risk anything. Yeah, they lost the boss, but it was the first 4 shots their core has taken.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Why that was such a high-risk choice here for L5. I love the fact they retreated, but even giving any amount of, experience over to Team Dignitas is going to whittle at them and the advantage that they had here. But 15 seconds, triple altars. Dig needs to keep fighting. 5 bell towers are here for L5. They only need 2 altars and they can win.
Dignitas played that boss
bottom,
fight
they're forfeiting
well,
bottom.
But they have to play this one well too, perfectly from here on out. They're forfeiting bottom. They're invading over on the right-hand side. Genji will pick that bottom altar up.
This is worst case because L5 could trickle into 16 and try and force it, but the Sanctification's used to ensure 100% Bakery can get it, but the last second, it was not timed perfectly.
It wasn't.
Anybody but Bakery could have done that with the Divine Shield, with the Sanctification, and with that down, I think L5 can get this Gilly.
SCSC is heading up. Zealia is desperate to try to get his team 16. The fighting happening all over the place, but L5 starting to get into position.
Zealia is nowhere to be found for this fight, but there he comes in. He gets the pick, but again, Dignitas has to stop this altar.
SCSC starting to take members down of Team Dignitas. There's a double kill with his resets.
The resets are there, but SC has to retreat. Look at Snitch. He goes down. The reveal, the shots. Can SCSC keep alive 2 members of Dig? It looks like this is going to be it, Gilly.
It is with a full team wipe. L5 in 14 minutes dismantle Team Dignitas in game number 3 on Towers of Doom.
Europe. I hate to say it, but you might be trembling in your boots right about now.
L5 is coming for you.
Not only Team Dignitas, but at this rate, it looks like they have looked beyond too Fnatic, because that now puts them 1 game up here over Team Dignitas, 1 game away from moving up the ladder.
That was a terrifying game from L5.
If you're Dignitas, because the map, because the comfort, and all the other variables, I feel like this is going to force a panic into Stitches. So like 100%. Think about it. Stitches wins game 1. Stitches wins game 2, and then it's removed and you get bodied. I feel like now this is going to change the mentality of Team Dignitas, and we could see it as early as the draft for game number 4.
Dignitas has a choice to make. Do they want first pick or do they want the battleground choice? We'll find out. But first, let's head to the panel to break down game number 3.
All right, let's do it. It seems like L5's turned into a heat-seeking missile here on Towers of Doom, and they are going for blood. That was a very well-executed game, Trixler.
Yeah, I loved how disruptive they were, especially in that top lane. They constantly came in for the Dahaka to the point where they conditioned Dignitas to start preparing for defense up there.
Yeah.
And whenever there was a moment where L5 disappeared, you would start to see Dignitas rotate as a unit to the top left to defend, and they switched it on their heads in the middle of the game and started controlling that bottom portion of the battleground. And also, Chen with the Donkey Kong build. Very important here. A lot of people see stuns and they think, okay, Chen can't be effective in a team fight. But with Donkey Kong build, you can force the fights to be on your terms. You walk forward, you drop in, you continue to put out the slows, especially on tanks. They have to turn around and apply some form of CC to get you off of them, and you start to control the flow of battle.
Donkey Kong build being the empowerment of the barrel, being able to throw it more distance, get extra charges, and being just a nuisance overall, but it was very strong, Caldon.
Yeah, Chen definitely had a huge impact on the game here than overall. And it also seemed that in team fights, the coordination of Dignitas was not quite on the same level. I feel like the draft that they had, especially the Tyrael, didn't really give the value that we were hoping for when we were said, okay, they have 2 invulnerables with the Divine Shield and with the Sanctification. We saw a few of the fights where also Mene didn't position really as well as he usually does. And I think that had a big impact on the outcome too.
Yeah, I mean, when pro teams practice, you know, it's not like even the top team can play any composition they want and be amazing with it. Usually what you see on stage is teams playing their best compositions that they've practiced over and over again. So you could really tell that Dignitas here was a little bit unfamiliar with some of their picks. I kind of wish they did go with the Stitches Li Ming in the 2-3 over the Dahaka and the Greymane there. I think it would have been a lot better for them just sticking to comfort. But we do have a replay here. They had a 1 even talent tier fight right here to try and stop the game from snowballing. And if we can pause right here. So the first important thing to mention was Noble S, he actually stunned over the wall and then E'd in, basically stopping JPL from being able to cancel the tribute. This is important because this forces Xaylia to just tongue just to cancel. And that's important because your tongue is the only thing you have to stop them from running away. You have no other CC outside of Uther, maybe 0.5 second E. So playing this on, there's 2 fights happening here. So Dig all-ins on this side, but you can see Sanctification drops. It gets no value. They're trying to all-in on Sway. Yeah. He just runs away because your tongue was used to stall the tribute. And at the same time, on this side, Mene, he Odin'd up here and got a D-shield, and then he actually E'd into the fight, trying to get to Sway. But, you know, he was at 40% life. He E'd forward. As soon as D-shield dropped, he just instantly died. Double reset comp. Everyone dies. The Sanctification all-in on the Rhaegar. No one even touched him because he just ran away.
Overall, the 2 warriors were very far away from Mene to ever protect him from all the damage at the back.
But it was also exactly the situation that I spoke about earlier when with his positioning, he E'd into the fight. And that's when, just when he got the Divine Shield, it looked to me for a moment as if he didn't expect the Divine Shield and was just trying to get maybe some additional damage before dying, accepting his fate. And then when he moved in, that basically secured the kill. He got body blocked, couldn't move out, and then he was falling. It also shows again how aggressive the Korean teams are right now, jumping on a target in the backline. So you can definitely make the argument towards the Stitches and the comfort picks, but then again, this is the first time that we have actually seen Genji and also Li Ming on the side of L5. So high skill cap heroes that allow their mechanics to really show and shine.
It feels like, though, that we were talking about it as well while we were watching that game, and Dread's assessment was very similar to our conclusion, which is they may end up going to that Stitches. They may end up saying, this is our last-ditch effort to stay alive in the tournament now with L5 2-1 up against us. The Stitches has been a power play for us. Do they navigate back to something like that, Trixler?
Yeah, I mean, it's a staple for Dignitas. It's probably a sigh of relief, too, the moment you pick that up. Okay, this is what we